So this week we thought we'd take the proverbial show on the road, and we're here at Kezar Stadium. Now those of you from San Francisco will appreciate this is the site of the original Kezar Stadium, not as it was, but here today a scaled down version. This was built in 1925, and this hosted the San Francisco 49ers, what we now know as the Oakland Raiders. In fact, it was also the home field of USF football, St. Mary's football, and Santa Clara football. Why do I bring all of that up? Well, this weekend on Saturday, Stanford will be back at Kezar Stadium, and they'll be hosting a game which will raise money for charity for youth scholarship programs here in San Francisco. So we're welcoming Stanford. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're a Berkeley fan, and you're outraged that Stanford's on this field. Well, we'll invite. Anytime Berkeley wants to play out here, they're invited to be here. Of course, as a guy who went to Santa Clara University, I don't want to get in the middle of the Stanford-Berkeley battles, but nonetheless, I am honored and very enthusiastic that Stanford will be up here, generating a lot of energy and a lot of excitement, and again, a lot of money for youth scholarship programs. Don't forget, by the way, this site, the old Kezar, in the 1970s, hosted famously, Bill Graham was here in 1975 for the Snack concert. It was called Snack because it was about raising money and awareness, the importance of sports programs and programs that, again, benefited youth. You even had Marlon Brando speak out here. The concerts that were played here, don't ever forget, not just sports that were played out here at Kezar, but you had Led Zeppelin, you had the Doobie Brothers, you had the Grateful Dead, you had Waylon Jennings, and if you're young, you have no idea what I just was talking about because you probably don't know any of these folks, except these were legends and continue to be legends in the music business and a big part of our proud past here in San Francisco. So again, it's great to be out here in Kezar, and we welcome folks to come out here Saturday for the coin toss and the tip-off of sorts, football, but here with the Stanford team. I want to just briefly update folks on a couple of other important things that are happening this weekend. Probably the most notable, it's remarkable, but it's been 104 years since the 1906 earthquake and fire. And I say and fire because we can never forget the real devastation was not just Mother Nature's fury, but the aftermath of that fury in the context of the fires. It took 3,000 plus lives, days and days to keep those fires from burning down the remaining parts of this city. And it's incredibly important to remind people, particularly after what happened this week in China, what happened a few weeks back in Indonesia and Mexico, and of course what happened in Chile and Haiti, and what's happening even in Southern California, where a lot of smaller earthquakes, disproportionate number of small earthquakes have been picked up, that we live in a perilous state, literally and figuratively, particularly out here in the Bay Area. The stats that came out, or the suggestion that came from the hypothetical suggestions, the analysis that the U.S. Geological Survey did, that suggests 63% likelihood in the next few decades that there's going to be a major earthquake out here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Hayward Fault, not just the San Andreas Fault, reminds all of us that we need to be prepared. You cannot just count on the federal government, the state, or even your local government. The first responders are you and your friends, family, and neighbors. And I want to encourage people, if you haven't done this, please do not regret not doing this. Go to our 72hour.org website. Even if you don't live in San Francisco, go to 72hours.org and put together your own emergency operation plan. Here's a perfect hypothetical. You've got your husband, partner, wife, daughter, son, in 4 different locations. There's a major earthquake. Cell phone goes down, the phone lines are down. Where are your family members? What have you done in advance to say, all right, if something happens and we can't communicate, 4 hours after an incident, we all agree to meet up at this location. What happens if that location's unavailable? What's your backup location? And these are basic things that you have to do for yourselves. We can't go into people's households and say this is what you're going to do with your family. And so I want you, please, to go to the 72hour.org website. Also, sign up if you haven't for Alert SF. This is a text messaging service, which is fantastic. It can be done by your zip code. And anytime there's any emergency or something that you should be aware of, including a blackout, it will send you information, and it will let you know what, candidly, only the media now knows, but you'll get that information directly yourself. And of course, if you wish, please join the tens of thousands of people, over 20,000 to be exact, that have signed up to get the training, free training from our fire department for our neighborhood emergency response teams, our NERT program. But all of this, again, is an opportunity to reflect not only in the bravery and the heroism and the remarkable renewal and rebirth of our city coming out of 1906, but to make sure we mark our fate and future by being prepared and making sure that we're doing everything we can, including stepping up to the plate as the city's doing by making commitment to invest in our auxiliary water supply system, which is extraordinarily important, as we have done for about 180 other city infrastructure projects since the 1989 earthquake. We're every single day moving in the right direction, but we recognize we have a lot more work to do, and I want to encourage folks to always make sure that they're supportive of our city efforts to reinvest in our infrastructure, to make sure that we're disaster and earthquake proof, or at least earthquake safe or earthquake prepared. Just a few quick additional thoughts on the week. We had a very, very successful launch. In fact, arguably too successful. Remember, you may not, but some of you may remember, I did an online town hall meeting around our budget. And we actually had a lot of people interact. It went on Ustream, but we did an online town hall for a new green financing program that we launched this week. About $150 million we've authorized to provide upfront dollars, so you don't have to be out of pocket to do weatherization, to do energy efficiency projects, to put photovoltaics on your roof, water conservation, basic, even chargers for your electric vehicles, to the extent that you're willing to participate in what I believe is the most significant thing we can be doing, and that's electrifying our vehicle fleet in terms of our energy independence, in terms of addressing some of the larger economic and macroeconomic issues, that the geopolitics of sorts. But if you can't afford that, or feel you can't make that investment into reducing your utility bill or reducing your greenhouse gas consumption, now we have a financing program, Green Finance, that will put all that upfront costs onto well, basically the city will offer it through a financing mechanism onto your property tax bill, and will amortize the payback from 5 to 20 years. Learn more about this by going to greenfinancesf.org. or call 311 and just ask about what's this Green Finance program, and we'll send you information. But if you go to that website, greenfinancesf.org, we have all the application information, and you can just walk through some easy steps and learn more about how you can avail yourself to this really extraordinary program, the largest of its kind in the country. And that was, I guess, my point. The interaction and the activity on our online town hall was actually greater for the Green Finance than it was even our budget, which is just interesting. I just throw that out for what it's worth. Final thing, we hope that everyone stays tuned to what I believe will be a close vote, but an important vote. We have a program in San Francisco. I recognize there's some controversy, but it's really important to me. It's called our Fields program, where we're revitalizing our fields, not dissimilar to the field you see behind me. And it's a program that takes some of this old grass with lousy irrigation, these fields where people are literally spraining their ankles, no real activity, there's no lighting, it's not safe in the evening. And through a public-private partnership, in a very enlightened sense, where tens of millions of dollars of private sector money are being matched with tens of millions of dollars of city money, we've revitalized Garfield Park, we've revitalized Silver Terrace, we've revitalized Crocker Amazon, we're revitalizing our playfields. There's a big one coming out at Beach Chalet, and all of us with kids, anyone that's been out there, family or friends, and seen all these soccer games, there's a lot of people literally have gotten injured out there, and there's a real concern that that field is not living up to your expectations or to what we all deserve in a world-class city. Well, we have the ability to completely revitalize it and bring it back to life through this Fields partnership, and the Recreation and Parks Commission will be making a decision today whether or not to move forward. I'm very hopeful we do, because I really believe in my heart of hearts this is the right thing for the city to do, and there's 6 or 7 more projects coming down the pike, and this will benefit all our families in San Francisco and really reinforce our commitment to revitalize our neighborhood parks and recreation system. 167 plus projects have been complete, the highest surveys we've ever received for our recreation park system. I talked a few weeks back on this video about what we're doing to revitalize our bathrooms and really, I think, get to the next level in terms of our commitment to neighborhood parks and recreation and open space. Final final thing. The Board of Supervisors, in their wisdom, supported a new landscape ordinance in San Francisco. This didn't get a lot of attention, but it's a big idea. A number of years ago, I went to Chicago, went down Michigan Avenue. I saw all the great greening initiatives that Chicago did. I asked Mayor Daley in Chicago who put all this together, and he introduced me to someone named Astrid Hayardi. And Astrid showed me around Chicago and all their greening efforts and work. And about 6 months later, we convinced her to come out to San Francisco. I didn't try to recruit her per se, but she had actually solicited a desire to move out to San Francisco, and we were very fortunate to get her, our greening director in the city. She put together an ordinance not dissimilar to the ordinance that exists in Chicago that allowed over the course of a decade or so for Chicago to hit a tipping point in terms of beautifying the city, in terms of having basic standards, in terms of investments we make. So if you have a parking lot, for example, in the city, your parking, the concrete can't just go out to the sidewalk without creating a barrier so that there's an aesthetic, there's a respect for the landscape, permeable surfaces, where there's some trees, where there's at least lawn, there's a demarcation that actually beautifies the city. So it's a standardization in terms of the investment of the landscaping in the city that, again, will pay huge dividends in the future. Passed the board unanimously. Let me thank the board for their support, Carmen Chu for her leadership. This was really an exciting thing that happened that took 5 years. I mean, honestly, it took about 4.5, almost 5 years to put together, and it will hit my desk next week, and I look forward to signing it. And now I will simply sign off. And I look forward to seeing you all back next week, and hopefully you guys can come out to Lotus Fountain on Sunday morning for the 104th commemoration ceremony for the earthquake, and this Saturday for Stanford football here at Kezar Stadium.